Hi class, this is Mrs. Albritton, and this is part 2 of factoring trinomials in standard form where a is greater than 1. Now this is called the AC method, and take a look at the steps that we have. There's a few more than we've seen before. Step 1, we're going to multiply the a value and the c value. Step 2, we'll list the factors of that a times c. Step 3, we'll look for a pair of factors that add up to the b value. Step 4, we're going to factor the quadratic into binomial factors. Step 5, we'll divide the numeric factors by the leading coefficient, which is going to be the a value. And then step 6, if we do not get a whole number when we divide, we'll move that a value in front of the variable. So let's take a look at the I do section. So first of all, I'm going to identify my a, my b, and my c. So in this case, a is equal to 7, b is equal to negative 13, and c is equal to negative 2. Step 1 tells us to multiply a times c. Well, a times c is negative 14. And then we're going to list the factors of a times c. So the factors of negative 14 are negative 1 times 14, 1 times negative 14, negative 2 times 7, and 2 times negative 7. Step 3, look for a pair of factors that add up to b. Well, negative 1 plus 14, that gives us 13. Here we get negative 13. Negative 2 plus 7 gives us 5, and 2 plus negative 7 gives us negative 5. So again, we're looking for the b value, which is 13, negative 13, sorry, and it's this pair of factors. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and separate our ends, and then take these factors 1 and negative 14 to finish off our binomials. Now, the next step tells us to divide these numeric factors that we just came up with by the a value, which was 7. And then step 6 tells us if we do not get a whole number when we divide, we want to move that a value in front of the variable. So what that tells us is that with the first binomial n plus 1/7, well, 1/7 does not give us a whole number, so we're going to actually slide that 7 in front of the variable n. Now, n minus 14, here, if we divide negative 14 by 7, we do get a whole number. So in this case, the final answer will be 7n plus 1 times n minus 2, because 14 divided by 7 is 2, and that's our final answer. Let's go to B. Identify A, which is 2, B is negative 3, C is negative 9. So the first step is to multiply A times C. That'll be negative 18. And then we need to list those factors. So here we have negative 1 times 18, 1 times negative 18, negative 2 times 9, 2 times negative 9, negative 3 times 6, and 3 times negative 6. Next step, we need a set of factors that add up to the b value, which is negative 3. Now here we get 17. This gives us negative 17. Here we get 7, negative 7, 3, and negative 3. We're looking for negative 3, so this is the pair that we're going to use. So we're going to break this into our set of binomial factors. We'll have our x times x for the x squared, and then we've got a positive 3 and a negative 6. Then the step that tells us to divide each of these factors by the leading coefficient, which is your a value. Again, if you do not get a whole number when we divide, then we will slide that leading coefficient into the front of the variable. And 3 over 2 does not give us a whole number, but 6 over 2 does. Therefore, our final answer will be 2x plus 3 times x minus 3. All right, Let's look at a couple more examples. For a, 6x squared plus 5x minus 1, let's list our a, b, and c. Here we have 6. B is equal to 5. C is negative 1. Multiply a times c, and we get negative 6. So let's list the factors. Negative 1 times 6. 1 times negative 6. Negative 2 times 3. 2 times negative 3. Now we're looking for the factor pair that adds up to the b value, which is 5. And there we have it. So I can stop right there. So this is the pair that we need to use to break up our quadratic. So let's go ahead and do that. X times x. And we're going to use negative 1 and positive 6. And remember that crucial step with this particular type of quadratic. Divide by the leading coefficient, which is the first number, the a value. Divide by 6, divide by 6. And again, if we do not get a whole number when we divide, we're going to slide that leading coefficient in front of the first or that particular variable. So here we end up with 6x minus 1 times x plus 1, because 6 divided by 6 is 1. And we're done with that problem. And the last one, a is equal to 3, b equals negative 16, c equals 5. Multiply a times c, and we get 15. Okay, let's list our factor pairs. So 1 times 15, 3 times 5. And then we need a pair that adds up to the b value, which is negative 16. Now this gives me positive 16, and this gives me 8. Oh, so what's the problem? I need for my factors to give me negative 16. But don't forget, even though 1 times 15 gives us 15, so does negative 1 times negative 15. Because remember, 2 negatives multiplies up to a positive. So when I add these, I get negative 16. And isn't that what we're looking for? So we do have a factor pair that we can use. So I'm going to break this into x times x and minus 1 and minus 16. Because we're using this pair, and minus 1 and minus 15. Okay. Again, divide by the leading coefficient, which is the a value. If we don't get a whole number and we don't with 1/3, we're going to move this in front of the variable and finish our problem as 3x minus 1 times x minus 5. Because 15 divided by 3 is 5. And we are done. So look back over these notes, because I know it's quite a few steps. And it's different and it's new. And see if you can work on the you do problems. See you next time.